Hello again everybody, today another video sticking in the Age of Sigmar universe. We're going to be doing a gut ripper, so you can paint all of yours. For this wonderful 15-minute per model scheme, you're going to need to start out undercoating it grey sear. Next, equip yourself with your Plague Bearer flesh, and we are going to work on the flesh areas. So for that, just get a normal sized brush. Doesn't have to be particularly big, doesn't need to be particularly small either, just a medium sized brush, and go around all of the skin, being careful not to get too much overlap on all of the leather slash cloth slash other areas. Just be as accurate as you can, but make sure you get a good coat. Once that's dry, get your Beal Tan green shade, and we're going to go around all of the flesh areas we just did, but using this green shade, and that's going to give us our orc flesh colour, which is really quick and really awesome. Next, equip yourself with Wildwood Contrast, and we're going to paint the rope belt, the rope leg wraps, and then the shaft of the spear. By this point, with everything dry, this is what your model is going to look like. Starting to get there, but there's a few areas we've got left to paint. And the first one we're going to paint is all of the leather areas. So we're going to use Cygor Brown. We're going to paint the bulk of the cloth over the model. Nice and simple step. Just be careful not to get it all over your green. If you do happen to make a mistake and it runs onto your green, try and get it off with a wet brush. If it just looks like you're pushing all of the brown around on your beautifully painted green, then just leave it to dry. And then Elysian green is the closest colour you can use to touch it up. Next up, get your Blood Angels red contrast, and we're going to do the Scare Shield. If you want to, you can use Flesh Tearers red to bring it down, or you can use yellow, or you can use blue, take your pick. In this case, I'm going to be using red. It's quite a simple step. Just make sure that when you get round to the back of the shield that you're nice and careful not to get any of the red on the green, because it becomes very difficult to start touching it up at that point. So be as accurate as you can. It's a bit fiddly, not on every model, so I recommend, if at all possible, leaving your shields off to paint these models. Kind of difficult because they're push fit. So sometimes it's not just a shield hand and a shield arm that comes off, the whole model falls to pieces. So if you can't, as with this one, don't worry about it, just be as accurate as you can. Now with this sexy blood red done, it really is all coming together. So we can switch to painting some of the metallic areas. For that, we're going to use Lead Belcher, a nice medium silver. It's not too bright, not too dark. And we're going to paint that on the spear tip. We're going to paint that on the little rivets on the shield and then on his armor pieces. Next, get out a bone colour. I'm using Morghast bone, but you can use Ushabti bone, you can use Andry dust, whichever one you fancy, but you need a bone colour. And paint any of the bone artefacts I've got. Paint the teeth and paint the Scare Shield teeth as well. With the bone areas finished, we're going to use Agrax Earthshade to shade in the armour, his teeth, the teeth on the Scare Shield, basically everything that we just painted in the last couple of steps. So make sure you do all of the bone, all of the metallic areas, and you're good to go. Next up, get your Flesh Tearers red, and we're going to paint the eyes. So you're going to want to use a small brush for this. I'm using an Army Painter detail brush, and that's more than sufficient. So wax them in there, and that's that done. Nice quick step. And the last part of this speed painting guide is to use some Reikland Flesh Shade. We're going to use that to create a rust effect. So just use it here and there on the metallic areas, especially around bolts or areas where the metal would be exposed or worn. Or if you want to go full rusty, just put it all over the metallic areas. And that's going to create a nice rusty effect, make it look like they've just come out of a wet environment like a swamp, which is where Kruleboyz are supposed to be from. And here's everything dry and the gut ripper all finished. It's looking pretty good. If you want to add anything at this stage, it could be to get some Biltang green, some Methonian Camoshade, some Druchii Violet, and just put some on the end of the blade like we did with the Ryken Flesh Shade, and that's going to give the impression that it's been dipped in venom or it's poisonous, and that's obviously what gut rippers like to do with their weapons. So it makes sense narratively. That's an option, of course. If you can't be bothered, don't worry about it. When it comes to basing, base it to match your army. In this case, I have just got PVA and sand. I've put it all over the base, waited for it to dry. When it did, I used watered down Rhinox hide, and then dry brushed it with Karak stone and then Terminata stone, stuck a little bit of grass on it, and it's done. And I mainly had to do that to match it to my Iron Jaws army, to make one big happy orc family. So there you go. If it's been helpful, like, subscribe, leave a comment what else you'd like to see. Happy wargaming.